Hello everyone, welcome to another installment of Erinn's Book Club. I'm sorry for the poor lighting, but it is very warm here in Canada today, so I have all the drapes closed trying to keep the sun out. But I was able to finish my book today because I spent most of the day in bed sick. And I want to do a book review. The book review I want to do today is The Black Stallion's Blood Bay Colt by Walter Farley. It's a part of the Black Stallion's series. So I'm going to read the back of it to you before I start talking a bit more about the book. So, young Tom Messenger has been taking care of Bonfire, the second son of the famous Black Stallion, since Bonfire's birth. Tom has earned the trust of Jimmy Creech, the veteran driver who owns Bonfire, and Tom is eager to work with the young Colt, building his strength and endurance. But suddenly Jimmy's health takes a bad turn, and Tom must pick up Bonfire's reins himself. The horse is a natural, but Tom doesn't know the first thing about harness racing, and he'd better learn fast. Walter Farley provides the reader with a crash course in the sport of harness racing, and the excitement of the track jumps to life in this remarkable tale of a horse's early years, from his birth and training to his first race, and right across the finish line. Now, I'm really becoming quite the fan of Walter Farley because he makes an entertaining book written for children that is still realistic and, somewhat educational. The main characters are believable, and before I go any further, I do want to say this will not be spoiler-free, so if you have not read the book, please do so and come back, because I don't want to ruin it for you. Again, because this was a bit of a better written book, I have written down a few notes as I was reading it, about the characters so that I can go through this with you guys. The main character is more mature. Again, it's a male main character. There aren't very many female main characters in this story. There's a female bi character that, or like accessory character, I guess, that is written in a bit of a realistic way, but it's almost as if Walter Farley has a hard time writing about females. I still enjoyed it. The main character was much more mature and could handle disappointment and loss better than most of the more modern stories that we have read. And I'm finding that's a theme with Walter Farley, is that he does write a more mature and a better, well-written character. It was interesting to read about the black in the world. How do I explain this? It was interesting to read about the black, but not being part of the world of the black. So there was the black was in the background. The black was there. As you read, but he wasn't the main focus of the story. So that was kind of neat to read about. Again, there's a more confident main character, one that is willing to accept his mistakes. There was one part where he was basically, in his first race, he lost that race because of his naivety and his ignorance, and the veteran riders basically taught him a lesson and played a nasty trick on him and cost him the race. But instead of getting bitter and sulking in a corner, he kind of said, yep, they outsmarted me. That was my bad. And continued to smile on to the riders in the second race. So it shows a character with a better depth of character to it that can take the criticism, because nowadays people can't. So that was nice to read about. It was interesting to read about the horse not from the horse's point of view and still feel sympathetic of the horse. So I read about Bonfire and his mother and the struggles that he went through, but it was all based on observation from the main character and other characters, and I was still able to find sympathy and feel what the horse would be feeling without being told how it was viewed from his perspective. I wanted to do an interesting point here. The main character, Jimmy, who is the old man who owns the horse, is very, very bitter because he's struggled all his life to get anywhere in the horse world and hasn't been successful, and he's seeing the new way things are being done and the new young folks that are coming in with their money and their fancy horses and able to do much better than he is, and he's getting really, really bitter, and this causes him an ulcer, and the ulcer causes him so much pain that he's unable to function, to the point where he has to stay in bed, that he's irritable, and like it's an all-encompassing pain. And it made me think, most racehorses and most show and competition horses, most horses that are not kept in the way in which the horse is designed to be maintained, have ulcers. And the pain, I'm sure, is very similar. And a lot of these horses struggle through this pain without tossing their riders, without, they still have to function because there's no sympathy from the rider. They just think, well, this horse is just being a cow. This horse is just being miserable. When in reality, maybe this horse is just sore. And maybe they're irritable and grumpy because they hurt. And it was just an interesting juxtaposition, whereas we all had to feel sympathy for Jimmy because he's going through this difficult time. And ulcers, I know, are incredibly painful. But we don't seem to think about the horses. When the horses get these ulcers, that we cause them, we just automatically assume that the horse is just a misbehaving horse. So, all in all, really good book. Lot to think about. Gonna order the next one online and go from there. So I will let you know when I have another book read. Have a great evening, everybody.